Hey there, how's it going everybody? So on this tutorial, we're going to be learning how to upload an item to our ArcGIS Organization account and then convert that item into a feature layer which you can be able to add onto your map. So earlier before this tutorial, I got to circulate a script, a written script which was in PDF format, which had this tutorial outline in steps. So if you didn't get the script, I've also provided the link in the description where you can get everything, basically everything, the data and these notebooks and also the script which I converted into PDF, which you can also go through this tutorial after you're done watching this video. So in this tutorial, we're going to be learning how to do the following. So let me just write some markdown language here, which is going to give us the steps which we're going to take through this tutorial. So like I said at the beginning, we're going to be learning how to create an account. But for us to be able to create an account into our organization account, we do not just have permissions. So first of all, we need to log into that account, and then after we log in, that's when we're going to be uploading an item. And then after we upload that item, we're going to be creating a feature layer, a feature layer with the item that we just uploaded. And after creating a feature layer, we're going to add a layer to map. So so today in this tutorial, we're basically going to be doing 4 things. That is logging in, uploading items. So I need to say that item is going to be a CSV file we will be uploading to our organization account. I know you can upload possible format to an organization account. You can upload zip file, you can upload file databases, but for now we're going to be focusing more on the CSV part, because we're just getting started to use data to use the ArcGIS API for Python. So and then after we upload that item as a CSV, and then we go to creating a feature layer. After we create the feature layer, we're going to be adding the feature layer to the map. Okay, so I'm just going to run this cell block, and so that this becomes a more readable format. Okay, so now, like I said, like in most tutorials, the first step to do is when you're using this API, this ArcGIS API for Python, the first thing that you need to do is you need to import the library which you're going to be using for this for your notebook. Okay, so to do that, I'm just going to be importing these libraries here. I'm just going to type from ArcGIS.gis import GIS, and then we're going to say from get pass. I'm going to be explaining this library because I think it's the first time using this library for this tutorial. And then we're going to be importing pandas as PD. Okay, so I talked about these 2 libraries before, and I didn't talk about this one. So if you've forgotten about this library, just refer back to the previous tutorial, and then you can get to see what we discussed about this library. So I'm just gonna explain this library. So usually get pass, it allows me to okay, so since I said we're gonna be logging into your account, obviously there's a section which you're gonna be using for us to okay, so since we're going to be logging in, we're going to be typing our password, and I don't want you guys to get to see my password which I used to log in into my account. So this is a good way, like it's a better security feature in terms of these notebooks. When you're going to be sharing these notebooks with people, you can just be prompted to enter your password. So let's just run this block in order for us to import these libraries. And while it's importing, I'm going to be explaining what this get pass also does. So when I call this library, obviously we want to log in into our account, we're going to be using our username, and then we're going to enter the URL to the organization account, and then there's going to be a password section. So in order for me, instead of me typing this password like this onto my screen and you guys actually getting to see my password, this get pass function is going to be helping us to actually do that in a more private way, but it's not that you guys cannot see. So as you can see here, it's still importing these libraries. So while it's doing that, let me just move on to the next section. So now what we need to do is we need to create a variable which is named password. So I'm just going to create a variable which is named password, which is going to be using the get pass function. So we're going to be using this when we're going to be logging into our ArcGIS Organization. And then now we're going to be creating a variable which is going to be called GIS, which contains our login parameter. So as you can see, in the cell block above, which is cell number 1, it has displayed the number which indicates that this cell block has finished executing, and as you can see, there are no errors within our script. So let's move on to the next section. So I'm just going to continue with this variable GIS, which is going to be containing our parameters for the login item. So I'm just going to call them this JAS method, which has these parameters inside. So right now I'm going to be using the URL to our organization account. So we could actually type this, we could actually type the full organization account, but for most of you, I'm sure most of you do not know their organization accounts that they created when they actually created the account. So I'm just going to be typing in the basic login, which works for everybody. So I'm just going to type in HTTP, and then I'm going to put these forward slashes, and then I'm going to type www.arcgis.com, and then I'm just going to put a comma, and then I'm going to put the next parameter, which is going to be my username. So I use African Spears as my username, and then now I'm going to be passing on the password. So remember, we code in this password as a variable here, which gets the get pass function. So what it's going to do here is going to prompt us to enter our password below. So let me just run this block, and it's going to be prompting us to enter a password. As you can see below, there's a text box which is ready for us, which is ready to get our password, which we're going to be inputting there. So let me just type my password into that box. I hope I still remember my password, and then press enter. And now it's trying to authenticate my access into my organization account. Okay, so that block is finished executing. As you can see, there's a number there. Okay, so let me just do a little thing here. I'm just gonna add a markdown cell here, which is going to indicate what we just did. So let me just put that heading 2, and then I just say login to account, so that you guys remember. Okay, I already written this script down and I already shared it with everyone, so I'm not going to be doing much in the markdown language here, because I already written the script in another notebook we already shared with a link in the description below. Yeah, okay, so remember we said we're going to be uploading this item using a CSV file. So now what we need to do is we need to call a CSV function which is going to read our data using pandas library, and then the pandas library is going to be actually giving us a detail of what our CSV looks like for you to upload this. So in order for us to do that, we need to declare a variable which is named, I like to call this variable CSV, because it basically it tells our data type which you're going to be using. So I call that CSV, and within the CSV variable, I am going to be calling R, which is going to help us read the data set which you want to upload. So I already have the CSV within my files folder. So what I need to do is I need to highlight on my Zimbabwe district. I'm going to be uploading the district to my ArcGIS Online account. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this part. I'm going to be copying this part, which I'm going to be using within my notebooks. So I'm just going to go here, and then I'm just going to paste that part. So this is an easy way to actually get the part which is within your computer, other than getting to type this see like the long URL. And since we're going to be declaring a variable, this variable is going to be storing the path to the CSV file. Okay, so now before we go anywhere, let me just create another variable down here which is going to declare that this is going to be district. And now I need to call the pandas PD, which is going to help us read this CSV by calling this a read CSV function. And then what do I want to read? I want to read this file. So this file which is contained in this part, which is also stored in this variable. So I don't need to enter this whole path again. I just need to call the variable in here. And then once I do that, now I need to display this data. So in order for us to see what our data summary looks like, so I'm just going to call again my district variable, and then I'm just going to place the head function, and I want to display the first 20 records which are within my data. So I'm just going to pass 20 as a parameter to that head function, and then I'm just going to execute this cell. So wow, that was fast. So as you can see, this doesn't require any internet connection. So as soon as I execute this, it gives me the summary of the first 20 rows in my data. So as you can see, this is my data. It has these columns. This column fills the name of the district and the name of the province which the district is in, and then it also has these X and Y columns. So basically, if I have these X and Y columns, whenever you're going to be converting this into a feature layer, you can basically use these. Otherwise, if you didn't have these, it was basically going to geocode. Well, I'm not going to talk about geocoding because geocoding is going to be our next tutorial, and I'll talk about that later. So now that we have introduced we'll get to view our CSV file. we need to prepare to upload this CSV file into our organization account. But first, before we get to upload this file, I just want to show you a little thing that you can do in order for you to get the whole summary of your data without having to put this parameter function, which displays the number of rows and the number of columns which are within your dataset. So I'm just going to be recording the shape of functions, which basically gives us a record of the CSV file. So I'm just going to call the district. So remember, the district is a variable that's declared here, should be able to be used with the pandas dataset, which also contains this function which is read as data. So every time we need to run a pandas function which contains this data, we have to be calling this variable which is declared. So for us to get the summary of our data, we're going to be using the district, and then say .shape, which is basically going to give us we're going to print out the number of records. So I'm just going to run that, and as you can see, it's saying 60, 13. So this basically means that our data has 60 rows and 13 columns. So that's how we know what our data looks like. So now what we want to do is we need to upload our data. So let me just create a markdown here. Remember, I'm not going to be writing this markdown in full because I already did that in my pre-tutorial script. So I'm just going to say, now we need to add the CSV as an item. So I'm just going to run that and it'll be displayed like that. So in order for us to add this to an item, we now need to declare a certain type of variable. So I'm just going to call this variable item CSV, and then I need to pass in, this is going to be a dictionary. So I know a lot of you haven't used Python before, but in order for you to know what our dictionaries are, just go over to this website. It's called w3school.com, and then you can go to Python, and then you can know how to use some of the variables which I'm actually using in this tutorial. Okay, so now what we need to do, we're going to be passing this dictionary which is going to contain the data which is going to be used to label our feature layer. So I'm just going to be using the title for now, and we're going to be doing other properties to label our data in future tutorials. So now I need to assign a title to this data which I need to upload. So I'm just going to call that title parameter, and then I'm just going to assign it a name. So remember, this is going to be a single quote which contains the parameter, which contains the property type. It's going to be a title. So now I need to pass in a name to that title. So what title can you give it? I'm just going to name it Zimbabwe. I'm going to put ZWE in short. I'm going to say Zimbabwe district, like that. And then this is going to be our property title. So what else do I need? I'm just going to pass in this variable now, which is just created over to our CSV item. So I'm just going to say, so call another variable, which is CSV item, which is going to get GIS library, and then tells us that we're going to be creating some content, and using this content we're going to be adding it, and then these are the parameters which are going to be using to identify this item. So I'm going to pass in item properties function here, and then I'm going to tell that this is going to be using these details which is stated above. So it's going to be using these details which are here, which only contain the title. Okay, I could also be using the tags and stuff, but I'm not going to be doing this tutorial for the sake of time. I'm just going to be doing the basic functions. Okay, so I'm just going to put a comma there, and I'm just going to state that this data is equal to a CSV file, and tell the function that I'm going to be uploading this as a CSV file. And then now I need to display the output of that data. So I'm just going to call in the CSV item variable here to display what was just uploaded into our organizational account. So let me just run that and see what comes up. So as soon as I run that, it's starting to execute. We require internet connection there, and the internet connection is quite good and stable. Okay, so now as you can see, this is our item which has been uploaded to our organizational account. As you can see, there isn't much. It's just written CSV by African Surveyors, last modified March the 6th, 2021, 0 comments and 0 views, because this is still private and nobody else has actually yet to view this. So simply just uploaded this a few seconds ago. Okay, so now what we just did is we just published our CSV file which we got from our local machine, which was in this folder, which is just you just added the part 2 and then declared the read function using the pandas library. And then using the pandas library, I got to display the first 20 data sets, and then I got to view the records of my data set. Then I finally added this as an item to our ArcGIS portal. So remember, we are not done yet. So as you can see in our outline here, we are only two steps away from accomplishing this tutorial. So what we need to do now is we need to create a feature layer. So I'm not going to be uploading another thing again. I'm just going to be basically using the items that we just uploaded here into creating our feature layer. So to do that, let me just create some markdown here. So I'm creating some markdown here, and then I'm going to say publishing feature layer. I'm going to execute that so that it appears nice. Okay, so what I need to do now is I need to publish, and in order for us to publish, we just need to call one certain function. So but first of all, we need to declare a variable. So I'm just going to say district item as my variable, and then I'm going to pass in this item. So I had called it CSV item before, and then I'm just going to push that into my publish. Oops, I spelled probably wrong. Into my publish function. This is going to help me publish this. Okay, so now I want to see what my published item is going to be looking like. So we're just going to need to call this district item variable again in order for us to display what we just did above. So I'm just going to execute this again, and I need you guys to notice the difference between this CSV published item and this feature layer. So let me just give that some time for it to finish executing, and then we can get to move on to the next stage. So I think that takes quite a bit of time, but oops, yeah, now it's done. So as you can see over the screen now, you can basically see the difference between this, which is an output 5, and which is an output 6. So let me just first talk about this one. As you can see, this one doesn't have much properties like this one. So using our item here, it's just stated that this is a CSV by evidence of here. But then now, if you go to our published feature layer, you can actually notice that the icon also has changed, and this is written a feature layer collection by evidence of here, which last modified today. So as you can see, this one is just a CSV, and this one is now a feature layer. So in order for us to display a map, we now use this feature layer. We don't use this CSV. Okay, so now I'm just gonna do a little bit of some searching within my organization account in order for me to be certain that this feature layer was actually uploaded. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of some searching. So let me just put some markdown here, and I'm gonna give it a heading of 3. Searching just to be sure. So I'm just gonna execute that, and then I just wanna try to search this feature layer and get to see if it was actually uploaded, because some of you might actually think that this is a particular tutorial and we're just exporting some pictures or stuff. So I'm just going to be showing you the function which tells us that this will actually upload it. So I'm just going to create a variable again. This is going to be called district, and I'm going to call this district layer, and then I'm going to call the GIS library, and to search in content, I tell it that I want to search and I want to run a query. So this query, I'm looking for anything that has that starts or has this name district. Remember, I named it district here, so I just wanted to look for anything which is named district, and I'm going to instruct this that this is going to be an item type of feature layer. So I'm just going to type in feature layer there. I'm just going to capitalize this because it's standard convention when running with this ArcGIS API. And then I'm just gonna say I need to query this. Okay, so I'm gonna be dealing with the indexes here. This is part of that. This is going to be an index of 0. So what happens with these indexes? I think I've also mentioned that within my tutorial script, that these are indexes which are assigned to every feature layer that you upload. So some of you guys, I'm sure you've dealt with uploading these files in a zip folder. So if your zip folder contains many layers, you will notice that they're each going to be assigned indexes. So some indexes might contain a 0, a 1, a 2, depending on how many features you have uploaded in a zip file. So basically for this one, I only uploaded one feature layer, so that means its index is going to be 0 because like every index starts from 0. So let me just run this search function and see what we're going to be getting. It's going to call this district layer for us to view what we just have. So I'm just going to be executing that. And oops, yep, now we see that exactly this district layer is actually contained within our organization account. So don't worry much about it. You can even skip this part because I just want to show you guys how to use this search function, and just so that I can explain about these indexes. So in future videos, we're gonna be dealing with data which is going to be uploaded as a zip, and we're gonna be dealing also with how you can use these indexes to identify your data set, because you basically don't want to be using like all the data set that you just uploaded, but you need to there's some sort of filtering and yeah, you know what I'm using. So okay, so now what we need to do is we need to get this layer so that we prepare it to be displayed to the map. So I'm just gonna call this a variable again in order to overwrite the one is above. So you guys need to know that whenever you declare a variable twice, see here I've declared this variable once using the search function, and now I'm going to be declaring this variable again. So as soon as you declare this variable again below, it basically means that this variable is above, if they are the same name, this one is above is just going to be overwritten by the new variable that you just created. So now what I need to do is I need to get this layer and store it into this variable. Here we just have to like run a search function which contains the layer. But now what I need to do is I need to get the layer into a variable which is going to be stored in order for us to display to map. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be calling again that district layer which is above, and then I'm going to tell it that I need this to store this as a layer, and then this index as 0. So once I do that, and then I'm just gonna execute this function, and I'm just assigning this this layer into a new variable which I'm going to be preparing to store within my item. Okay, so there's no attribute layer. Oops, so that was actually an error. Okay, so I think I made a mistake. I'm supposed to store this as layers. That's why it gave me this error. So let me just rerun that again. So oops, yeah, so that was correct. I misspelled layer. It's supposed to be layers, guys. So whenever you run into an error, it actually gives you the full description of this error. And if you don't know what that error means, there's always a community which you can use to follow up and ask for some errors that you might face using these notebooks. And if you are facing error throughout this tutorial, don't hesitate to make a comment below, and we can always attend to that error and see how we can get to modify it. So okay, I've just stored this layer into my I've just stored this variable that this is going to be a layer which I want to use for my map, which I'm going to be declaring right here. So now what I need to do is I need to do a geocoding a bit, so that I'm going to be navigating like, okay, what I need to do is I need to call a base map. So in order for me to get a base map, I don't want to get a whole base map like for the whole world. I just need to concentrate on a few on a specific location, and in this case when we're concentrating on Zimbabwe. So what I need to do is I need to call a map variable which is going to get the GIS function to call out a map, and I need to specify a location for this map. So in order for this tutorial, I'm just going to be calling this location to Zimbabwe, and I'm just going to be giving it a zoom extent of 8, which I just need to be able to use Zimbabwe. So what's going to happen here is it's going to call a map, and then it's going to geocode this address which is stated here. So it's going to geocode this as Zimbabwe, and it's obviously going to then display a map of Zimbabwe. So I just now need to display this map, and to do that I just need to call in the map variable, and then I just need to run that function. So let me leave it to run that function. Okay, so this requires data. As you can see, it's now loading. So you guys, while you're doing this tutorial, you obviously need to have a data connection, because as you can see, everything is now in sync, and it's trying to load a map which is actually online, which is powered by as you can see over here. So let me just leave it a bit to load that map, because I think my data connection is actually a bit slow today. Oh, okay, so I think it has loaded that map. So just notice that this map is has been zoomed too much. So let me just reduce that to a zoom of, let me just say a zoom of 6. Oops, I wrote 6 outside. You just put a zoom of 6 there, and I rerun that block in order for me to get a map, a view extent of the whole of Zimbabwe. Okay, so I've just received like the base map of Zimbabwe. I can actually navigate this, and I can also zoom in and zoom out. So there's a lot of functionality that you can do, but you can also add your extra widgets to this, but that's gonna be a tutorial for another lesson. So now what we need to do is we now need to add the layer. Remember, in our goals for this tutorial, we just created a feature layer which we just did previously. So now we need to add the layer of this feature layer into our map. So let me just write some markdown here. It's going to give us an explanation of what we're going to do. So now I'm just going to give it a heading of 2. So now I'm just adding a feature layer to the map. Okay, so I'm just going to run that cell. So we're almost done, guys. Now we're only left with one piece of code which we're going to be using to display our feature layer onto this map. So to do that, I'm just going to be calling this map variable. So for every time we call this map variable, it basically means that every function which you're going to be running throughout this command is going to be displayed on our map. So every time we call this map function, it's going to be displayed on our map. So now what we need to do is we need to call the add layer function. So type add layer, which is going to be sure that this is going to be layer or not layers. So yeah, it's a layer. So now, and what I need to pass in as a parameter is I need to pass in this feature layer as a parameter. So remember, this feature layer, we have called it district layer. So I'm just going to copy that in order for us to avoid making mistakes. And then I'm just going to be able to pass that in. So I've pasted that in to my into my add layer function as a parameter. So what is going to happen here is it's going to instruct this to add a layer to the map, which is just above, and yeah, going to add that as a layer onto this map. So let me just run this function. This is going to take quite a bit of some seconds for us to complete, but it was finished executing. So now what I think is it's now trying to plot these on this map. So let's just wait for a few seconds for it to plot that on the map, and as we wait, yeah, so let me just give it 5 more seconds. I think it's coming now and going to be displayed on that map. Great. So as you can see now, our point has been added to the map using this add layer function. So basically, this is how you do this is how you publish your items into an organization account, convert them into a feature layer, and add them to a map. So you guys can actually use this as a template for your organizations whenever you need to publish something. So I'm just gonna outline a case scenario in which you can use this type of a notebook template. So you can actually get to use this notebook. So take it for example, it's on a Friday afternoon, and you just have 10 minutes before you shut down operations for the weekend. And then your boss instructs you to upload a certain item into your organizational account, because he wants to use that item over the weekend. And now, are you going to be going through the browser and trying to navigate to your organizational account, or whatever you use to navigate to your organizational account, and then you wait for the browser to load, and then while it's loading, you're preparing your data, and then you upload it to your organization account. And you see, that's like quite a large, huge process that you're gonna be going through. But instead, you can just store this Python script using these notebooks, using the API to basically upload. So what you need to do is now you only need to change these login credentials, and obviously put your login credentials, and then you also need to change the path to the item which you want to upload. And finally, you only need to change the name of the item which you're going to be uploading. So as you can see now, I'm just going to prove to you that this item was actually created into my organization account. See here, I open my browser and it's going to navigate into my organization account. So as you can see, there's a proof that these items were actually uploaded into my organization account. As you can see, the date notified is March the 6th, and the date which I did this tutorial was actually on the March the 6th too. So this is basically a template which you guys can use. So for you guys to get this template, just navigate to the link in the description below, and you can actually get to use this template within your organization account. So you guys, thank you for watching, and I hope you can share this tutorial with other people who might need to use these libraries and these notebooks to manage things within their organization account. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and share with everyone else who would like to use these notebooks. Thank you for watching.